Good evening.
Good evening. And welcome. We're just about to get our professional heads on. We've had the most amazing day, haven't we? Been for a walk. Anybody who knows the Lake District, we've been pretty much in the dead centre of it, up a fell called Black Crag, which has just got the most amazing views in it. And the sun's been out. Look, I almost look like I've gone slightly jaundiced looking, so I must have caught a bit of a suntan because I've gone from absolute pure white to jaundiced looking. We've had the most amazing day and just so much fresh air. And now I feel absolutely knackered for it. But
Lisa just sent me a video of a little kid, like a tiny little kid, maybe only like 2 or something, playing this like toy guitar thing, and the dog on the piano like banging it and howling. This beautiful dog. And then the last little bit is like an even smaller toddler comes in who looks like they weren't even 1, and it looks like the dog's sort of distressed, I think, because it's howling. I don't think it is, it's enjoying itself, and she puts her arm around it and starts patting it. Yeah. And as you said to Dave afterwards, like love is innate, like our love for one another and our connections, it's innate. We have to kind of cover it up.
Yeah.
And I think this conversation often just helps get rid of the crap that covers it up, and you realize what you sort of made of and what you built for. I thought it was a cool time to send that video. So
it was really cool. Thanks, Liz. It's really cool. It's doing some admin work here to bear with. Cool.
But we would love it if people have questions or comments after anyone that was on last week, if anything came up.
Yeah.
We're happy to speak to that. And if not, I'm sure we have got some stories we can share. We always find something
out.
But it would be nice if people do have questions, like speak up, or you can chat, put them in the chat box.
Yeah, or reflections. And we won't pick on people, but we might. Yeah, just if anybody, we've been running these for a few weeks now, and I know some people have been coming for a few weeks. It's really nice to get feedback.
A few weeks?
Yeah.
I've been running these for a few years.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I meant weekly during the lockdowns. Right. And it's weird because new people come in and out all the time. Like you lot will all be here for a certain amount of time, and then you'll just disappear. And as you disappear, there's a new wave of people comes through, and it's bizarre how it just seems to kind of flow in that way. It's cool.
And then people come back.
People come back, and nice. But it's really nice to get feedback about where it's going and how it's going for people. Are people benefiting from this? So I'd love to. Kelly, you just nodded your head, so because you did that. I did say I wouldn't pick on people, but I've changed my mind. Was that a rabbit washing its face? I'm muting myself. I'm leaving it over to Kelly now.
I don't know why you've done that really, because I haven't got anything to say, but I have benefited massively from doing the groups. It's just sort of in ways that I didn't know that I had, sort of things keep kind of coming up that I have definitely benefited from. Just even the fact that, that there's just sort of group of people that are having a conversation, just that is nice. And that's just kind of enough. You can go and start reading all of this 3 principles stuff, but actually what I keep coming back to is that original feeling that I got for no apparent reason. I just wasn't anxious anymore. And it just felt so great. And yeah, so it's sort of, it just kind of reveals itself like that all the time, again and again. It takes me back to that basic feeling. Keep coming back to that basic feeling that I had initially, and I couldn't explain. And it was so nice, I still can't actually. So that's quite nice. I sort of quite like being in that place where I just can't explain it, because for me, it's about a feeling, not, just getting out of there, just moving, just rolling with it a bit.
Kelly's never got anything to say. I love that. Thanks, Kel. That was beautiful.
That's what I've got to say.
But that's it, when you find that feeling, there's so much knowledge found in it. And there's so much knowledge found subsequently, afterwards. No, that's the word, afterwards. So much knowledge that kind of reveals itself afterwards. When you kind of, I always say this, I'm not a religious person, blah, 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 blah. In the Bible, it says God is love. And that lovely feeling that we find is lovely. It's lovely. And when somebody taps into that space, it's the ever presence. It's like it's the true reality.
It's the place to go back to. I found it feels like I can venture out of it, but now I can venture out and reflect and explore things and examine things and maybe not analyze, and just be a bit more like that, a bit more spacious around it. And it just seems to, I know I can go back there. I can have to deal with sort of everyday stuff and it can be just as overwhelming as it always has been. But I know that there's that place now, which, I've just got confidence in the fact that it's there. And that just feels quite, if there's anything to hold on to in this life, that might be the thing, just you've got that place within you to go back to. You can't hold on to anything else. It's this one thing that we've all got. And I just feel grateful for feeling it.
Me and Big Mac, I don't know if Big Mac's in the bottom left of everybody else's screen, but the big angry looking Mackham lad with his nice cup of tea there, he's beautiful. Look at that smile. Me and Paul were speaking the other day, and we're just saying, like, once you've touched that space, you'll never go back to who you were. You never go back to the old you. And it's such a, you can say that to people. Like, if it can be a really scary thing for people to consider that. Oh, I'll never be the same again. I always remember if Sue told me what would be for me, by the way, Dave, your anger that you've kind of built your kind of whole character on, it's going to be gone. Your depression, yeah, I'll be gone too. It's like, I'd go, no. So, can we get rid of the anger? Can I get rid of the depression? Can I keep the anger? Because the anger's gets shit done. It's really worthwhile. But when you touch that space, it seems to be there's something that will just neutralize an ego in a moment. And then it's like you climb a few rungs of the ladder and then you start to live life with a greater vantage point. And then from that point, you continue to learn and you continue to evolve. How you doing, mate? We can see you. We can see you hiding in the corner. Oh, yeah. No, thanks for that. Thanks for that, Kel. Does anybody else want to say anything? I won't pick on anybody. Please.
Can you hear me all right? Is my voice thing actually working?
Yeah.
Cool. Just actually had a really interesting conversation with a friend that reminded me of I can never say that there was an old me and a new me because I feel just like but I had a conversation with a friend who's hurt themselves and he's normally spends a lot of time in the mountains and planning holidays and always been on the move. Anyway, they've really, really hurt themselves and they were saying to me on the phone, God, I just feel like I've wasted this day and I've been indoors all day and I've been in bed and really hurt myself. Just wasted this day. And he was lying in bed, beating himself up for wasting this day. And it was really lovely because I could see the only thing that was going on was he had a stream of thought running through his head, creating the experience that he'd wasted his day, which then reminded me of the feelings that I used to get. I used to have that same thing, that if it was a beautiful day and I hadn't been somewhere amazing or done something fantastic, I'd feel like I'd wasted the day. Which led to this conversation of the beauty of the moment and the trust in life. Because without even knowing it, like this is like 7 or 8 years ago, I would find myself on a Sunday where I used to have to run 15 miles every Sunday because that was who I was. I'm talking about identities that we create, that we think are fixed, and that actually cause a bit of suffering when it's who we think, when who we are means we have to do things to. Can you hear me, Dave? All right, everything's just coming quiet. Yeah, like self-identity, and I can see that my friend is in a state of suffering at the moment because his mind is bringing him ideas that in order to be him, he has to be doing these things. And it just reminded me of how it felt when those things started to drop off and I didn't do anything. It was like a noticing of, once I'd realized the energy that creates everything, creates me, creates my experience, creates my beautiful plant called Nige that's sat here. That even creates my experience. And I was talking to Dave before about really noticing this thing we call time, that it seems the only time we suffer is when we're in our thought of the future or of the past. That comes in the present moment, which is always the only place there ever really is. And it was just really nice to just sit after this phone call and observe and think, wow, the freedom of mind. Once we have a glimmer, Kelly, like that glimmer, that's that place that you know is always there, that's solid. The mind can be free to run through and create, but there's that anchorage within us all, what we know that we are creation in motion. And it was just really beautiful chatting to him tonight, because it just reminded me of how, without even knowing the directions change, we're always in motion. And there's something so valuable about everybody being here and being in this conversation that refreshes us all and takes us out of the miniature films that run in our heads that create our identities and all the shoulds and all the chatter and all the blah, 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 blah. Because once we go out of the future, or we go out of the past, there is only right here and right now. And it seems that there's availability in that, there's space in that place for fresh, new thought to come in, and we can, the beauty of noticing when we're in the future of how we think something should look like, or in the past and reflecting, I've wasted this day. That's those places are literally just thoughts in our minds creating experience. And I love the way you hear a lot of spiritual teachers across the modern age relate to our being as a video camera. There's electricity, energy, there's a video camera and a screen, and then we have the programs that go in the camera. I could see my friend was so lost in this program, but it was the same program running over and over and over. He was on this loop in this program. And we had a conversation about it, and you could see that his program kind of ejected and changed. The flow of his experience was changing as we were speaking, and it wasn't coming from with me, it was coming from within him. And it was just lovely to see, like today we've spent the day with Dave and Jen. Now, I used to work on a Thursday, and I'm not working today and I'm not working tomorrow. But there had been a time that I would have thought that I had to do that because that's what we do. Although I do work, and I did work this morning a bit, but there's a freedom in the flow rather than a rigidity of condition of rules. There's more of a fluidity, and within that fluidity, I feel more, I am more productive in the work that I do because I haven't got these rigid lines that I used to have to follow. Because I trust that my experience is the guide to life. I have no idea what I'm looking on about. Please save me. It could go on.
Thanks, Lisa. That
beautiful,
was
Emily.
lovely. You did make sense.
There's a couple of things. Like I've really noticed in both Kelly and Lise. Both of you mentioned the word trust. Sure, Kelly used the word trust. If it wasn't trust, it was one very, very sure.
Knowing it was there.
Was it? It was one of the two. Trusting, I can't remember. But Lisa, you said the word trust, and I think that's a really beautiful thing to start to find in life. When you start to find that trust or that knowing, it's like so much of our suffering is created from uncertainty. So much suffering is created from uncertainty. So many people are afraid of what's going to happen, what I will be like, how I'm going to show up, and this and the other, what they'll say, and I think that's one of the most beautiful things when somebody stumbles across something that they can anchor themselves with. Like you described it, Kelly. You said it's like you've always got that within yourself, that you know it's always there. You can trust on it, you can rely on it. It's like to have that anchor in life is a true gift. It's not one to be overlooked. It's like it's a serious gift. It's like being rooted in life. You know, most people walk through their lives very quickly uprooted, very easily affected, very easily blown over. But when you start to realize yourself, when you start to realize life, no, you're absolutely right. You can't describe it. You can't put it into words. Truly, you cannot put it into words. But you can discover it as an experience. And when you experience it, it feels nice. It feels like love. It feels like excitement. It feels like enthusiasm for life. And it's like it gives you those roots, which you then you are rooted in life, like a big solid tree. You know, the winds of change can come, but you're rooted in life. And that's such a beautiful thing. And Lisa, I know of all people, you are probably the person that I would say trusts to life more than anybody I've ever met or know. And it's like watching you ride those winds of change and watching you bend and flex with it, watching you bend and flex with those winds, watching you feel it, watching it move you and shape you, but always coming back to being stood upright. And that's your trust in life. And it's a really beautiful thing, because when you start to get this trust in life, you know you can deal with it. You know you can deal with anything that life throws at you. And another thing, Lacey said, you know, and this is a really important thing for people who are trying to understand the principles, trying to make sense of all of this. Lacey said it, there's nothing to do. You know, that's a really big thing in this day and age when everybody's running around trying to change themselves, trying to better themselves, trying to be this, trying to be that. Kel, you said it, you know, it's like you don't know how this comes about, but for some reason it just happened. Did you do it? Well, at some level, yeah, you did it. But did you consciously make effort to do it? No, because you wouldn't have known what you were consciously making effort to try and do. You didn't even know it existed. So therefore you couldn't even know what to search for or how to even aim to do it. And so this is one of the nicest things about this. It's when you just step out your own way and you just allow, and this again, to allow sounds like I'm suggesting do something. It's an allowing that takes place beyond all this mental chatter. It's just something that just takes place. If a person's ready to wake up, they'll start to wake up. If a person's ready to wake up, they will come on this call. It's that simple. If a person's ready to wake up, they will come on this call and they will listen. You know, there's nobody on this call right now.
Not anyone in the world. It could be they find a book, or
Yeah,
it
but
doesn't
I
have
mean,
to be alcohol.
yeah, I know, but I mean, all the people on this screen. No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, if
anyone who wants to wake up, they'll be on alcohol.
Yeah, anybody on these screens, I mean,
Yeah.
on this screen, it's like, if you're on this screen, you're well and truly on your way. You know, and I think one of the best things is not to limit it, not to create conditions with it, not to have some kind of idea as to how this should look, or how your life should look, in order for this to be actually taking effect. Because the simple fact of it is, it's already taking effect. It's already it. You are it. There is nothing to do. What you are truly looking for, you already are. The thing that takes us away from realizing our true fucking use my language, Mel. Sorry, love. Has she gone? Has she gone?
She's asleep.
She's there, but honestly, don't worry. She's absolutely.
She's not that interested. That's good.
She just seems to like listening. She's just playing here.
Use my language, Babs. Sorry, Babs. I did see you.
Listening to your wise words, I think. Don't worry, honestly,
Sorry.
it's fine.
Like our true magnitude, the only thing that hides us from our true magnitude is, and when I say true magnitude, I mean, I'm talking inexplicableness. Like stuff we can't even consider-ness, capacities and and power and strength. Infinite is the only thing that covers it over, is just crap that we learn throughout our lives, crap that we adopt as to be ourselves. Oh, this is who I am. I can't achieve that. I can't do that. I'm not this. I'm not good enough. All this kind of nonsense that we tell ourselves. This is the only thing that actually prevents us from realizing truly who we are and living out of it. And I think, Kel, what I noticed for yourself and Lise, and for me certainly, it's in those moments of quiet. Like silence is golden, as they say. It's like in that moment of quiet, for some reason, our little intellects just go quiet and something emerges. It's familiar and it's exciting. It's beautiful. And once that starts to take place, like I said to Big Mac down there, there's no going back. You'll never go back to who you were. It's not scary, it's beautiful. It's a step closer to realizing true divinity. And when we get, the more we kind of ascend, the word ascension is a beautiful word, I feel. There's this word ascension, very kind of biblical word, the ascension. Ascension is a rising, is to go up, to ascend. Ascension. When you start to rise in consciousness, there's only one kind of direction in that, and that's towards love. It's towards connection. It's towards the true nature of this universe. It's towards fully realizing who we are and what we are. And who and what we are is just inexplicably beautiful. And everybody is that. Everybody is this inexplicable beauty. But we disguise ourselves with our beliefs. We cover ourselves up with our beliefs.
I was going to say about we are literally always in a momentum of experience. There is we can never be boxed in by anything. Situations that we think are never going to change just dissolve, and something new comes in its place. Always. We're never stuck in any situation. It is always moving, and I think that's one of the most fabulous things to, even if you just catch a glimpse of it, you can be in a situation you think, oh, this is never going to change, it's always going to be like this, and before you know it, you're in a completely new place doing something completely different, and we don't even notice the dissolve and the birth of experience, because it's just constant coming in and going out. And I had no idea we were going up Black Crag today. I had no idea that was going to be in the day. Not a clue. I was going to work all day, but then I didn't. But that's that fluidity that can come through you, which is fresh and different when you have an awareness of the past or the future may hold you in a place, or even the thought of the situation may never change. When we're identified with the thoughts that run through our minds, no matter what it is, that is the exact place that we live. And if we never get the gift to see the beauty and the magnificence of being a human being, which is, we have this energy of thought that runs through us like a river, bringing experience all the time, and we can sometimes be right in that river with that experience, and sometimes we can stand on the riverbank and we can just watch it come through. But then the flow never stops; it's just constantly going, and it's true. It's completely true. That's how it's always working. It's what's always happening.
Thanks, Lou.
I put the thing out on Facebook, I was saying that we were going to kind of share stories, and also we'd love to hear different people's stories where on the topic of love and like the power of it. And Angela's mentioned she sent an email, but it actually went to my junk folder, so I've just found it, and she said she's happy for me to share it. So let's just yeah, and at the moment there's someone in the house who is asleep, so she can't share, so she's got her headphones in. So I'm going to read her email. So there's been plenty of times I've wanted to join in, but she hasn't been able to for that reason. So I thought I'd write and tell you what the power of love means to me. It's a totally different feeling now to anything I've felt before. As previously mentioned before, I've separated from my husband, but we still live in the same house, and I've fallen into this role of his carer as he has Alzheimer's. And due to his adultery over the years, I've begrudged everything I've done for him over the last 6 years. He doesn't deserve me looking after him was a phrase I used a lot. I would get angry very often, which is a trait I've never known before, and it wasn't sitting with me well. The anger, anxiety, hurt was making me physically ill, and I went to stay at my daughter's for 4 weeks and got carers to come in 3 times a day to look after him, as I couldn't leave him alone without anybody. Just before Christmas, I joined a retreat on catch-up, and although I've been around the principles a couple of years, I heard something different and my outlook was brighter. I was seeing things around me differently too, which was great, apart from the way I was thinking about my husband, which bothered me. I tried to relate, and maybe a couple of days were okay, and then he would say or do something, and I'd be right back feeling full of hate. Your last retreat I attended for the 3 days, as I was at my daughter's, just being open and listening to the words and looking for the feeling to reinforce what I heard from previous retreats. It was after day 2, I think. I'd woken in the night. I was full of anxiety. I didn't feel well, so I listened to the replay of the retreat. And Dick and Bettinger, all I can say is I heard an overwhelming sense of calm. He was speaking about a forthcoming event, and had felt anxious, but then realised he was living in the future at the time. I wasn't listening. I don't know what I was doing, but I was still and was in a lovely space. I fell asleep. I woke in the morning with a different... Oh, someone's trying to phone me. That's what happens when you have your phone on. To put it on flight mode. I don't know what I was doing, but I was still and I was in a lovely space. I fell asleep. I woke in the morning with a different outlook. It stayed with me a couple of days, but then I was tested as I returned home, back to my routine, and was waiting for the usual anger, etc., to rear its head. But it didn't. I was caring for him from a different place, a more understanding place, a place I wasn't used to at all, a place, I dare say, of love. Not as in love as his wife, but as a place of love with no thought. I care for him in a way that he should be cared for, as a person with his horrible, incurable disease. Don't get me wrong, I sometimes come to my room and breathe more deeply than usual, but it never lasts long now, and it makes all of it a lot easier coming from a calm space, a space of love. So thank you to you both, Dick and Lisa. I love her stories, and I now know what the power of love means. See you both soon. Beautiful. Thank you, Ange.
Wow, Ange, thanks so much, love.
It's mad, isn't it? Because we know it's a good idea to come from that place, and we all want to be able to, but it's in those moments where we don't even know what we've heard or what shifted, and then suddenly we feel it, and we're coming from a different place. And I love what you said. It's like a place of without thought. So thank you so much for sending that. I'm glad I found it. It had gone to my LCN junk folder for some reason.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Ange. I think one of the nicest things like that's happened to me in my life has been meeting Jen and the subsequent adventures we've been on. It's been fascinating to meet different people from all around the world, like very different culturally to us, very different backgrounds, very different, just different kinds of people all around the world. But it's been so beautiful to kind of to learn about our commonality, if there is such a word, and seeing what it is that does unify people. And it's been so interesting to go to places like South Africa and see what it is that creates division. What is it that creates the opposite of thriving and happiness and love? And seeing to just stand there as like witnesses and in some foreign land who are just present and just looking at this area and meeting both sides, meeting white and black and coloured people, as if anybody jumps on the bandwagon, it's what they call themselves. And I always say this, I'm not going to do them the injustice of calling them something they don't call themselves. But seeing what it is, what is it that means that humanity does not thrive? What is it that holds humanity back? What is it that creates suffering for people? What is it that creates these people who try to control people? And you see, it's all beliefs. It's nothing more than a thought. They're nothing more than thoughts. And it's so beautiful, you know, we've driven into townships before and we've had people stand there in front of us with hammers going like this as well, smash your head in. And then we've driven through into the same township to be invited out of the car and come and meet people. I remember we pulled up down a cul-de-sac, didn't we? And I remember saying, I could live here, little wooden sheds, I could live here. Everybody was out. Everybody was out in the sunshine. Having braais, massive braais covered in food. All the kids are playing in this little cul-de-sac in this township, playing football. There's people just sat around having a few beers. All the neighbours are out. Everybody's out in this cul-de-sac. They're all like one community, all one family. And we're invited out, come and meet so-and-so, come meet so-and-so. We met all these people, 2 white people in this township. Safe as houses, I think. We were with them, certainly. But as we were driving in, there was a man threatening us with a hammer. And to be able to go into these places and just see firsthand and see the logic of what we're talking about here, how, I don't know, perhaps humanity especially male men, well, a lot of women, we've always found there is a strength in resentment. There's a strength in holding on to the past. You know, I know people, and perhaps I've even said it myself, whereby I'll never let them off the hook. I'll never let them get away with it. What they did to me. I know people to this day who speak like that. And it's like we think that's a strength. It's treated like it's a strength. We fight everything. But to see the true nature of strength is to start to wake up to that love. When people start to wake up to that love, you really realize our true strength as humanity is in connection. It's not in division. It's in connection. And I used to be a man who would always say, I'm gonna repeat a story now, but I used to be a man who would always say that if somebody came to mug me, I'd leather them. I'd batter them. I used to think that was kind of my strength because I was big and strong. That was my strength. That was my luck. That's the look I got in top trumps. If I was a top trump card, it would probably go intellect 3, strength 8, total ambition to destroy people 50 out of 10. It was like total ambition to be the most domineering human being in the room 100. And one day, somebody did try and get money out of me in Cape Town. Forgive me again, people who've heard this story, but it was just one of these moments where I got to learn something about love. And as I was walking through Cape Town, through the central business district, it's very quiet in the central business district of Cape Town. I noticed this fella across the other side of the road, and as I was walking down the road, I left the wallet in the car, and I was going to get the wallet. Left Jenny in the restaurant because we couldn't pay for the food. And this man, I noticed him crossing the road, and he was saying to me, "Give me some money, give me some money." I haven't got any money, mate. It's like, I was dressed in all my nice, been working in a charity, I was dressed in all my nice Ted Baker stuff, and I looked pretty smart. And he went, "Look at you, don't be stupid." He said, "Look at you, you've got money, give me some money." And I'm like, "Mate, I don't have any money. Don't make me rob you. I don't want to rob you. Just give me some money. Just give me your money." I'm like, "Mate, you've picked a really shit time to try and get money out of me." I said, "I haven't got my wallet on me." Anyway, so he's walking along. I noticed he's got handfuls of things. I didn't know what he had in his hand. And the only thing that occurred to me in that moment where I was actually being aggressively confronted for money, the only thing that occurred to me in that moment, and this, I always say this isn't a recommendation of what to do. It was just what occurred in that moment. The only thing that took place was I put my arm around him and I asked him his name. And he kind of was a bit taken aback. He said, "It's Alex." I said, "Well, mine's Dave. My name's Dave." And I just kept my arm round him, and I wasn't kind of got him in a headlock or anything like that. I just had my arm round him. And I just started speaking to him. I was like, "What's the crack? Why are you trying to get money out of me like this?" It's like, "I haven't got any money." I said, "I'm desperate." I said, "Right." I said, he said, "I've just got out of prison. I got out of prison a year ago." He said, I got 6 years for burglary. He said, "But I haven't got any." He said, "I can't make money." And so I told him, I said, "Well, you know, I've been to prison as well. So it's not very nice." He's like, "You've been to prison? You're white. White people don't go to prison." I said, "White people do in my country. There's more white people in prison." And I told him he was astounded when I said there's more white people homeless in the UK. He couldn't believe it. White people homeless, yeah. And by this time we got to the car, and I just said to him, "Get in." And we drove up and I was chatting to him and you come running out, didn't you? And
No, you were sat outside in the car for
Was
40
that-
minutes.
was
And I
that
was
right?
like, maybe that is our car. I'll go and see if he's got the wallet. Because this woman's
Yeah.
just glaring at me like,
what are you
are you
doing?
going to try and run?
And I just fell in love with this man. I just really fell in love with Alex. And me and Alex just really connected. And he was sat in the passenger seat next to me. And I just said to him, "You hungry?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Do you want to go to Nando's?" And he went, No. If you're going to spend that kind of money," he said, "can we go in here?" And pointed to a little convenience shop which was next to us. So he went in there and he just got tea bags, nappies. He got some biscuits, long life milk, mealy pop, which is like a potato stuff, isn't it? And what else did he get? Toilet rolls.
No. Did you say nappies?
I said nappies, yeah. And then he just said, "Can I get this box of biscuits?" He said, "Because I want to share them with my friends and I want to tell them about you when I met you." I said, "Yeah, get what you want, mate." He didn't take the piss. He had a little plastic bag, didn't he? And maybe 2 plastic bags. Didn't take the piss. Didn't go, "Oh, well, if you're going to do that, I'll have it." He was very, 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 very grateful. And then on the way up, we said, "Can you just stop here?" And there was this girl stood on the corner, all dressed up, all makeup on, looking really pretty. And he said, "That's my girlfriend. Can we pick her up, please?" So we picked her up. She stood on the street corner. And you could see her kind of looking at him like, "Why are we in this car with these white people?" She looked really angry, didn't she? She's like, "What the hell's going on here?" And then I said, "Right, we're driving around the side of Table Mountain. There's a road that kind of goes high up Table Mountain." And I said, tell us where you're going, where you live then, Alex." And he said, "Stop." I'm in the middle of nowhere. I said, "What, you live here, Alex?" He said, "I live there, down there." And I'm looking, I'm going, "Where, Alex?" And he went, "In the corner." And there was this little pile of tarpaulins. I said, "You live there?" He said, "Yeah." He said, he told us how he's got a little daughter. In the time he got out of prison, he's got a baby. And I said, "Can I come and see your house?" And he went, "No, Dave, no, it's not safe for you in there. It's not safe." He said, "Come with me." And so we went into this field and he said, you can't go any further now. And I could start to see there were more little tents, more people dotted around, and there was groups of men sat down. And all of a sudden, one of these groups of men saw me and they all stood up and started walking towards me. And Alex just gave me the biggest hug and he said, "You've got to go now. You have to go now. It's not safe for you now. You must go." And so I left you in the driver's seat and I said, "If this goes wrong, just drive." I just jumped in the car and this man came up, didn't he? He caught up with me and
He's really nice.
he was really
He
nice.
slipped on a banana skin.
He just went, "I just slipped on this banana skin," and he popped it in the bin. And it was just like, I saw the power of love. It's like I could have been the old dickhead and braid him into the ground and yeah, fucking hell. Excuse my language, Mo. She got headphones in now. She got headphones in. Well done. Thinking ahead, I like that. And been, "Oh, yeah. And I'd have had a great story about the time I battered a man. That would have been the old me. And I'm so thankful that now I've got a beautiful story to say of a time I didn't batter a man, but I got to know him in spite of the circumstance. That love was the thing that came through in that moment. The gratitude to meet this man, to meet his girlfriend, to see where he lived, to have walked away with a friend who, this is 4 years ago now, and I still speak about him because he made such an impression. That moment made such an impression on me, that power of love moment. How it unified us both. It just unified us. I've no idea if he still thinks of me. It doesn't matter. It's in those moments. It was in that moment. It was in that moment where we just connected, and I didn't hurt a man who ultimately had nothing. who was just really desperate. And I think when we approach people with love, it gives us that opportunity to get to know people, rather than just making a first judgment. You're a dickhead, right? I'm going to treat you as such from now on. It gives you the opportunity to meet somebody, to start to ask questions, to get to know people, to give people the benefit of the doubt. It was honestly one of the nicest things. That man trying to get money out of me was one of the nicest things that happened to me in my life. It's a moment of treasure. Love is what is left when we drop all judgments. The only thing that stops us being in love with our partner is judgment. The only thing that stops us from being in love with ourselves is judgment. The only thing that stops us being in love with one another racially is judgment. The only thing that stops us being in love with life is judgment. Thought. I think that's why Sid's message was so important. When you realize reality is all thought, you are dreaming the reality you are encountering. You are creating it via thought. It allows you to be more suspicious of what you're thinking. And it allows us to be more, what's the word I'm looking for? Circumspect is not the word I'm looking for, I don't think. Hold on. It allows us to use our mind wiser. Because unless we do know how reality works, and when I say this, I know we're only scratching the surface of it. We truly are. We're only scratching the surface of it. When you start to get insight into the nature of reality, it is a self thing. Nobody can see your reality. You can imagine somebody else's reality, but it's you imagining their reality. It's you imagining what their reality looks like. It's still a thought process. It's still an experience generated within your consciousness. When people start to realize like that reality truly is a subjective experience. You take away the experience of consciousness out of reality, there is no reality. There's no experience. And Sid's message of wake up, it's all thought. See you the dreamer. It allows us to use our mind wiser. Because unless we know we're asleep, we can't wake up from the dream. But once you start to wake up from the dream, you'll fall asleep again. But you'll know that you're dreaming. And I think once you start to catch on to the trick, life starts to lift. Feelings start to lift.
Cool. Do you want to share now? Because we didn't get going until about 5:10 past, so we probably won't have a break until a bit later.
Do you mind if I just hang on, because I need to kind of think it through in a bit of silence so I can work out the right way of putting it across.
Oh,
That's all right.
Yeah, of course.
Cool,
I'll put you after the break.
what did Heidi say?
You're more suspicious of what other people say to you, because she used to take it too seriously, like what other people said. So you sort of feel free to take whatever you like. Hallelujah.
Oh, hides, yeah. Oh, yeah, glass.
And that's what Heidi said earlier as well. One of the things that's different, like poetry's been coming to you. I'm not sure. I think you were on when Kelly shared, but she said it's like the changes that have happened were weren't even things she thought were going to change or needed to change, but we we get a feeling, and you were saying it's from that feeling you've been writing poetry. And I think that's the cool thing. We have no idea what happens, like when stuff falls off our mind, the new fresh thought that comes in.
Yeah, it's definitely better than my waffle. My rambling. Honestly, it's quite good. Well, I sent you one, didn't I, Dave?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've done another one, and I mean, the amazing feeling that I had when I was like thinking about it when I was walking, and then I just came home and just like wrote it all down, and then I put it in my notes on my phone, and you know, tweak it a bit, and I keep tweaking it, and I kind of keep looking at it and thinking, I can't believe I wrote that. And you know, there are times when I think, oh God, that's all such a load of bullshit that I wrote yesterday when I'm feeling shit. But then, you know, then I come out of my shit and I think, yeah, you know, I wrote that. No one else wrote that. You know, that's come from me. And you know, I'm definitely improving. I'm feeling better. But and that thing that Kelly said about how trusting that, you know, it's going to be okay. I mean, I don't know, I'm not quite there yet, but I keep telling myself it's going to be okay. But I don't know, I have this, maybe I have this expectation that it's just going to just jump in, and I don't know, it's going to be easier, but maybe I'm already there. I don't know, who knows? Anyway, that I'm not going to waffle on.
Love it. Yeah. Thanks, Howard.
It's cool. It sounds also like you're open-minded around it all. And there's a lightness in what you've shared. Like maybe there's more for me to see. Maybe I am actually there. Like it's not coming from my heavy place. And you just, you seem lighter.
It's nice.
We loved it. Like when I think I read the poem to you first thing in the morning, and you had Dave in tears, and then you got back immediately. So.
I know the email you wrote me, I was at work and I just thought, oh my God, I wasn't expecting that. And I've been meaning to respond, but I don't know, I just didn't know how to respond, but thank you. It really made me feel so good that it touched you so much. So thank you.
Yeah. It touched me because I know when people start writing poetry, they are absolutely plugged in. They're plugged into life. They're plugged into consciousness. It's like when you start writing poetry, you are using the written word or the spoken word in a way that kind of almost defies the logic and the intellect to summon a feeling within people. And it's like when somebody starts writing poetry, I know that they are connected. Some people write poetry in their dark times, they're still connected. And some people write poetry in their amazingly beautiful times. People write poetry about all kinds of things, but they're plugged in. They're plugged in. It's like they're attached to that pure inspiration creator. Well, what is that? That is truly the God within. That is the creative force within our being, just coursing through us and has trying to get out. I just gotta get out. I've got to get out. Just plugged in. No, it was a really touching thing for me to read. I've got no shame in saying that. Look, it was beautiful. I was really excited when I read it.
I think that's the thing, like love, like that was written from a space of love, and it touched you so deeply, you were sort of moved to tears. And I think that's the thing, like there's something that I saw on, there used to be this kind of thing that went around Facebook, so it's like viral videos, but like I think it was called Uplift or something like that. This is probably got to be a good 10 years ago. I think I saw it, and I still comes to mind. And it was a court scene from America where I think it'd been 36 women were murdered by this guy. It was one of their, I think, most notorious serial killers. And the victims of the families were allowed to stand in court and tell that man how they felt about him, how devastated they were, whatever they wanted. And this guy kind of had different people sort of speaking abuse at him and saying different things. And then there's one man stood up, and he looked him in the eye, and he said something along the lines of, "Son, you've made it really hard for me to stay true to what I believe in." He said, "But I believe in what God says, and that's to love. And son, I love you." And this, and I no, he didn't even say I forgive you. He just said, "I love you." I thought maybe he did say I forgive you.
I'm sure he said I forgive you as well.
And the guy who just stood, look, with this stony face throughout all of the abuse, just broke down in tears. And you just saw that another human being showing him love touched him. It did something to him. It woke that place up in him, that however covered up it is for him to do the thing that he did, the father of one of these women who he'd murdered actually said he loved him and he forgave him. And I remember I just watched it and sat in tears, like the power of that forgiveness and love for another human being. Like, it blew me away. And it's hard to imagine that we could forgive someone for doing that, but it's like he shows that you don't know what we're capable of. And I think
what the power of love is capable of.
We've spoken a couple of times, I think, on Community Group about Bill Cummings, but it's definitely worth Googling him, the story of how he got to do the work that he does. Because I think when he told me the story, he said, "I'll tell you in brief, my daughter was a child when she was raped." And he said, "When I found out, I was ready to kill. I was ready to kill that man." And he then started going into prisons and talking to prisoners about the impact on families of these kind of crimes. And he said this one man at the end of a seminar, after years of him doing it, came up to him and he said, "I'm so sorry for you, and I'm so sorry for your daughter." And he was tears running down his face. And Bill Cummings said it was in that moment he realized within every single being is the potential for love and the potential to kill. Because he knew that if that man had been in front of him that had done what he did to his daughter, he said, "I could have killed him. I know I would have done." He said, but also within a man who had raped and killed was the capacity for love and empathy and compassion. And it blew me. I think, Mel, you've probably spent a bit more time with Bill Cummings, but it was on Pause Place that he told that story.
Yeah, he's done a few podcasts, I think, on you can find online if you Google, just put Bill Cummings in and he tells that story. But yeah, it's exactly it, Jenny. Yeah, it's beautiful story. Really
and all he is now is like this big ball of love, like he just loves it.
Oh yeah, lovely guy.
Thanks, Mel. Cal, get your hand up. We'll take Kelly and then
Look how
we'll
posh you've got. You've got your digital hand up.
Oh.
You've got it now.
Just showing off. I just wanted to say to Heidi that, you know, it's really nice to sort of see that the change in energy is in Heidi is palpable, even over Zoom. So, and if I can feel that change and shift in her from here, surely she can have faith in the fact that there has been a massive shift, because the energy is just so different. Amazing. Just really well done, Heidi. I just think you just seem just so different. It's like that's happened. Do you know what I mean? Kind of, it's lined up a bit. It's lined up and it's not like all the energy going everywhere. So nice to see.
Yeah, and you know what? This morning I was having a right nightmare, but later on this evening I was, it was getting dark and I was thinking, my God, I've completely forgotten in the last, I don't know how many hours, like most of the day since this morning, because of something shit happened yesterday and I just got really triggered and was spinning out a bit. And I don't know, something happened and, I've got PMT and I always go a bit nuts when I've got PMT. And I suddenly thought, shit, for the last, 4 or 5 hours, I've completely forgotten I've got PMT, because I just got on with, I just didn't, every time I found myself up in my head trying to sort it out, I do this thing where I go, shut up, or, I don't actually verbalize it. I just say in my head, shut up, because, I just catch myself and I go, shut up, and then I'm present and I'm just getting on with what I'm doing. And yeah, so that's unreal.
The
Like,
tone,
not-
you know, the tone in your voice, just your tone is just a million miles away from, yeah.
Yeah, I'm feeling much better.
Sounds like a sing as opposed to I don't know, just a different, just totally different. Pardon?
Growl.
I didn't want to say that. Not growl. Just
I don't mind.
different. Your voice has changed. So just what, yeah. Clearly go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I do feel now that, you know, it's like that feeling of, you know, there is so much going on, but, you know, normally when so much is going on, I have to just stop everything and just like, I don't know, just stay at home and do nothing, you know, for fear that, you know, everything's going to go wrong. And I've just carried on doing like extra work and, you know, because I haven't got much else to do apart from run. So I've been doing extra work, and often when I do this extra work and it comes up to the day when I'm doing the extra work, I think, oh, maybe I should just cancel it because I'm feeling a bit nuts now in my head. And I go, no, because you're not going to feel nuts in 10 minutes or in half an hour or tomorrow when you wake up. You know, just chill out, you know, it's all fine. So yeah, it's very different, but I still have my moments, and that's fine. It's accepting, you know, I think I'm much more accepting of those moments. And I even said to someone the other day at work, oh, don't worry, when I come to work on Saturday, I'm not going to freak out when I come in and there's no room for me. And she said, oh, Heidi, that was just a moment. I'm not thinking about that. And there you go, you know, that person that I remember thinking, I projected onto her, oh my God, I've really, you know, showed them my true colours. You know, so I held that with me, thinking that she's going to remember that and hold on to that. But that wasn't her. That was me. I was seeing myself and my concern about what other people think about me and her, you know, and I put it on her, but it wasn't her, it was me. So, you know, people are much more forgiving than me. Or than I used to be. So yeah, it's all good.
There's just a huge amount of bravery in saying it's me. You know, just the fact that, you know, that's such a huge step and just frees you so much. It just seems to free you so much just to be able to take, yeah, it's me.
Yeah, and
you know, and it's all right because everyone else, it's them.
Yeah, and
for them it's me, for them it's them.
Yeah, and like, you know, I'm not, you know, I'm just having, you know, I mean, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm just having this human experience. It's like everyone else is bloody doing it too. It's not just me, you know. And I think before I used to think that if someone criticised me, I would think, oh my God, you know, they're just telling me my worst fears, so therefore I am those things, and shit, I'm screwed. So I'm just going to be depressed for the rest of my life. Brilliant. So, you know, and I would just take these things as true. And like, you know, I mean, this is crazy that I used to take everything so literally, but, you know, I did. So there we go.
Yeah, none of it's true. Don't worry about it.
I know, I can make up my own reality, you know. And if I want to be slightly, I don't know, you know, it just doesn't matter. None of it matters, does it? It doesn't matter.
Nice when you get that. No, nice when you get that.
I was going to say also, after I'd read Andrew's thing, she said because she's showing up different, her husband's more settled. And like as we start to change, as we start to feel more settled, like it helps people around us. Like it's really good for not just for us. Like we get to experience it, but then the people around us do, and it's people feel the change. And it's like Kelly felt it over Zoom. She could feel. Like I think we've seen it. Like you seem so different tonight, and so we felt that. And Andrew was saying, you know, her husband's felt the change in her, and he's more settled. It's probably easier to care for when he's more settled, and you see how it kind of that place where we're all the same, that place where we are all one.
Well, I could definitely say that, you know, with all the shenanigans I've put myself through, and all the drama and the shame, and I don't know, the massive misunderstandings that I've lived with lived through with all of my ex-boyfriends, and this current one that's my husband, but we're separated. And I just, I this has been the hardest one to deal with, because I have to remain in his life because we've got a son, and all the others I've been able to go to the other side of the world, or and be as horrible as I can, just because I can't deal with the feeling myself, so I have to just shit it all over them. I've been able to get away with it, but with this one, I've still been a complete nightmare, and I've shat all over him, and I've done everything horrid that I could have. But now I can see that actually that was all such bullshit. Finally I see that was just because I couldn't deal with my own feelings. I had to just blame him for it all and make him responsible. But I can see that now, and he maybe one day he'll come round, but I'm not going to waste my breath, or I'm not going to hold my breath. But I've been wanting to get back with him, because I've realised actually that it was all wrong what I did. But I think that's not going to happen, and the fact that I'm fine with that is also amazing, because I've always been such a, how do I say this? I've always found it so difficult to get over relationships, and I've just always been so attached to them all. I don't know, and this has been hard, but now I with dignity lately, I've kind of tried to get back with him, but he's just completely ignored me, and I haven't shat on him, I haven't spat on him, I haven't done anything shit, and I just think, and I can see now that I actually can be graceful, and that is like whoop, can't believe it. That's amazing that I can actually be graceful, because I never thought I could. I was always so revolting. So that should be proof. Jesus.
Hides.
So anyway, I'll shut up now.
That's so nice, that, love. That's really beautiful. Let's take a break. Let's have 10 minutes. I'm going to wake my mother up, because she's actually here next to us snoring.
Everyone thought it's Rusty.
Yeah, it's Rusty, everyone. It's not. Can you hear that? Can you hear it? Yeah, they can all hear it. Bless her. Right. Oh, it's terrible. Right.
Kelly's telling us to 10 minutes. 10
minutes. No, I'm going to do that, Kel. Right, everyone. 10 minutes. Well, Lisa. Paul, are you okay to speak?
Yeah, I think so. So today, been having a bit of a tricky time recently, and my emotions have been like a bit of a roller coaster, and ego's been creeping in now and again recently. But luckily, thanks to a good friend talking to us and calming us down one night, and then speaking with Dave the next night, I realised and could see that it was just my head that was taking us to like a negative place about something that's going on in my family. And then today, I asked someone who I loved a bit if they would join us on Friday for a takeaway and like a night in, like a treat night kind of thing. And the reply I got was, I don't want to make any plans with you. In a nice way, because of the past, and that's not how our dynamics anymore. And I took it as such a, pardon me, I'm trying not to swear. I took it as such a insult that I was being sorely. I couldn't see that they were looking after themselves. all I could say was that it was an insult against me for the past. Like I'm permanently paying for any mistake or any bad choice or anything negative I've done. And I remember going really quiet on the phone call and it becoming really awkward, which I think I tried blaming them for. And I think I said, "Oh, you went really quiet." Whereas in my head, I was just thinking, I don't want to talk. I feel really quiet now. Why is this so painful? And I even managed to like swing it around. Like, I can't believe that the topic that came up for tonight's meeting was the power of love. Because I think when that message came through, I was thinking the power of fucking love. Love's just really hurting me right now because I love this person to bits. And if I didn't love them, I wouldn't be feeling this pain. So I went back onto the building site that I'm on, and I was almost praying for someone to have a go at us, or for something to happen, just so I could explode on someone and probably try and pull their head off or something. And I tried to let the anger pass. My next job of the day was to take some table bases apart, which ended up getting done really quickly because rather than using a spanner and a screwdriver, I just used my bare hands and literally pulled these things apart in a bad temper. And I sat down to try and calm myself and have a break and send this person a message so I could explain how I was feeling. And all I could think of was, it was amazing in the fact that there was a tiny little, not a voice, but almost like an instinct telling us that this is temporary. You know it's temporary. Anything that you're feeling is temporary. Which in the past, pre-October, November, that would have been it. I would have stormed off. I would have probably smashed something and regretted it. And so that was really lovely for me, knowing that it wasn't going to last forever. But I still just couldn't see how the choice this person made was like, out of love. And I started getting like upset, like crying on site. At which point the lad who was on site with us to join us turned his music down and started, I think, treading on eggshells and checking if I was all right, which was lovely. It was really like kind of him. And I'm getting a bit lost here. Once I got past once it died down, the anger, the ego voice really crept in and started trying to persuade myself to act from the past and to put me bill in for one of the days work I've done today so I can get money today to get drugs, because I didn't want to feel that pain. I couldn't see the logic in why the love I've got was making us feel so painful inside. So almost as quick as that thought came in, a kind voice came in, and there was almost like a Jekyll and Hyde conversation in my head of, if you go down this route, you'll struggle for work tomorrow. You'll have shame, you'll have guilt, you'll have a feeling of stupidity because you know it's the wrong thing to do. And through that pain, all you'll end up doing tomorrow is then getting your wages and blowing it, because today's pain would just roll into tomorrow's and it'd be magnified. And the only reason that voice has came in is because of these talks and the retreats and the knowledge that I've gained, thanks to everyone, and Jen and Dave and Claire. because in the past I know exactly where this would have went, because I never had any kind of self-love. I had a lot of self-importance, but self-love was non-existent. And once these conversations had stopped, and I ended up having a really like successful day and got a lot of jobs ticked off. I was walking home, and I phoned up my friend to have a chat, and wasn't paying attention, and a car pulled out, and the wing mirror had kind of just tipped me bag that I was carrying. And immediately I just went straight back to anger, and I was like so close to pulling this wing mirror off and probably trying to beat the driver with it. And again, I'm so grateful for the knowledge that I've got, because there was immediately a voice was saying, they didn't see you, and you stepped out onto the road. It was your fault. Wind your neck in. Get yourself home, sort yourself out. So came home, had a bath, fell asleep in the bath. I think I just wore myself out. Hence I was late coming on tonight. And when I was asleep in the bath, I kind of, the learnings of today kind of sank in. And I knew, as soon as I got to the bath, I knew that this person had acted totally for love for themselves, and my actions today, my conversations in my head have all came from a love for myself, because it stopped us from making a huge mistake. So the power of love today for me has been the curveball of forgetting about the three principles and seeing that love was only bringing me pain. And then the power of love in a positive way of seeing that a love for myself has got me to be on this tonight, to share what I've experienced today, and to see that I've done a really big thing for myself by allowing the real me to have a voice in my head, and to stand up for us, and to make us do the right choice. I haven't heard much from what people have been saying tonight, because I've been that wrapped up in what's happened today and what I wanted to say myself. So I apologise. I haven't listened to everyone properly. I will re-watch tonight's video at some point. I'd just like to say thank you.
Nice one, dude. Proud of you, fella. Properly proud of you. Cole, you put your finger up.
That's wisdom in action, that is, Paul.
That is wisdom.
Follow that voice.
Cole.
Dave and Jenny, this is for Paul. I've been meaning to sort of say this since Paul had that, shall we say, mini outburst a few weeks ago. And I've never had time to say, but what a beautiful, wonderful human being Paul is.
Oh, he's
that's the first time that I've been on these video calls that I felt love, genuine love for another human being, because when he talks, it's visceral and it really, really comes from his heart, despite his apparent misgivings or problems or whatever. When he talks, it resonates with me deeply, and he's such a lovely, lovely man. And forget about being 6'6" and a hard man. He's a lovely, genuine man. I just wanted to share that. I've been waiting weeks to say that.
Awesome, Cole.
Thank you.
I think that's it. You know, Paul is gifted with, he's disappeared off the screen now, but he is gifted with being 6'6". I've got a friend who's similar kind of size to him, and he's one of the most awesome men you could meet. Not talking about Paul now, a different man. But he's 6'6", 19 stone, brick shithouse, intimidating looking fella. And if you're his mate, awesome, he'll do anything for you. If you're not, he'll intimidate the hell out of you and he'll bully you. And I remember saying to him, why do you do that? Why do you get out of your car and confront people? Why do you act like that? You're 6'6", you're 19 stone, you don't need to do that. I said, you take away the element of surprise. I said, because you look like a thug. You look like a thug. And then when you get out of your car and you act like a thug, you've taken away the element of surprise. You've just given people exactly what they would expect of you. And I said, but do you not see? Because I tell this man, I say, you've got this body, this gigantic body, because you are housing an enormous heart. And I said to this man, I said, do you not see that your kindness is more powerful than your ability to intimidate people? You know, if you could show compassion to everybody and not just the people you kind of know, I said to him, you'd move mountains. And he said, I'm too effing old to move mountains now. I said, no, but the point is, you wouldn't be the one moving mountains. People would move the mountains for you because you're kind and you're lovely. And people want to do kind things for kind, lovely people. They want to work with them. They want to help them. They want to help people. We all just want to help each other thrive, ultimately. And what I do love about Paul is just says it as it is. I want to question something though, Paul. Forgive me if you think I'm being pedantic. To me, it's a bit of a nonsensical statement that I think we could do with erasing from the English language. And it's this statement that love hurts. Does love, is it love that's creating the hurt? Or is it fear? Does love ever hurt?
For me, today, I was like pissed off because I was being judged on the past. Not that I'm an angel. I deserve to be judged on, like, you know, me halo or anything. I was blaming love because if I wasn't in love with this person, then if they didn't want to agree with the plans I was like proposing, then it wouldn't have meant anything. It would have been like it would have meant nothing. It wouldn't have had anything positive, negative. It would have been completely neutral. But because I'd delved into the pity me and I'm being judged on the past rather than on like who I am like right now in this moment, I was then really scared of the future because I'd feel that anger build up straight away. I know where anger tends to lead us to. Pain, firstly, from hitting something, and then all the emotional shit that I would drag along with it, with regards to things like drug use or like not going to work or then ignoring everything. And if it hadn't been dealt with there and then, as I said, tonight wouldn't have happened to me. I wouldn't have been on this call. I would have made an excuse not to be here. So no, it's love never hurts. But if you get wrapped up, or it's only from my point of view, if I get wrapped up, then you look for a reason as to why you're hurting. And obviously, I'm not going to blame myself. I'm not going to say it's my fault. I'm going to look for something else. And sadly, the thing that I was blaming was love, because I'd convinced myself in a split second. Well, it wasn't even time related. It was instant. It was, if I didn't love this person, I could just draw a line under it and move on, and it would mean nothing. So therefore, love was getting the blame purely and simply, and this person was being selfish, and yeah, and sadly, I know it was all me. I was making all this stuff up, because what really happened was this person was just looking after themselves, and talking on the way home, even like Claire was a bit of advice, and she said, you know, like, now you can do whatever you want on Friday. You can have, you know, if a door closes, then it gives you the opportunity to open another door. And even then, like, because I'm still struggling a bit, like tonight, I'm getting upset and I'm getting angry and I wasn't listening to people properly. But I was like, you know, yeah, the logical bit was like, yeah, I totally see it. Another door can open because of this, but I don't want another door. I wanted that door. But you know, it's done now. I've learned. I've had a big kind of something to be. I don't know. Like, I don't know if I'm being big-headed, but I feel quite proud of today now.
Good.
But again, the only thing that's going to have pride is my ego, so maybe I shouldn't.
I'd be proud. I'm proud of you for you then.
And thank you for everyone's comments, by the way. Holland, thank you for what you said. I had to go because my ego really kicked in. I had to turn my camera off because I was too busy sobbing.
We know.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
No,
I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked that question, because that was the one thing it does love her. And one of the things that came to it, I'd completely forgotten about, was, I don't know if everyone most people know, when Dave and I got together, it wasn't easy and it was messy, and we'd met up and said goodbye to each other. We didn't think we'd be able to be together, and we'd said goodbye, and we were both heartbroken. And then I think probably about 2 o'clock in the morning, I got a text message, and
who off?
And you said you'd fallen into the most deep, peaceful space of love, and that me being free and me being true to myself was all you wanted, and there was no attachment and there was no need, and you kind of like freed me to do what I needed to do, and you'd just fallen into this space of unconditional love. I love you so much that I know I can't have to have you. And it was a really weird time, because and you said in that moment, that was so true. It was all encompassing and so free, and you were just so full of love. And then the next day you woke up in absolute devastation.
Scrap that.
And
ignore that text.
You didn't know what to do with yourself. And
get your ass up here now.
You didn't send that message
no.
though. You left it. You know, you did have that time without communication, but it was. You said you'd never experienced such unconditional love before for another human being, where their happiness was more important than yours, and it was so real. But then we do love people, and we do miss people, and we do get attached and all those things, and that humanness or whatever came in the next day. But you got to experience love without that condition or need. And I remember at the time feeling so grateful to be loved in that way, because it kind of freed me to be able to truly make decision from me rather than trying to please, or I don't know, it was a different kind of love. And I think I could hear in what you've said tonight, Paul, that you've kind of realized that. And I love how you said it's like Jekyll and Hyde, like, yeah, but I want it. Yeah, but actually someone, you know, what I want isn't the most important thing right now. And you've learned a lot from it. And I think whenever you share a group, it feels like you're just constantly learning, and then you share it with all of us.
Yeah.
Even though it's raw or fresh, and then you feel emotional. And I think that's something, that authenticity is what I think Colin picked up on that first time when he saw you. And I think like the more that
we have people in the world who are just themselves and they're sharp. And I think everyone on here at different points has shared from a place of just honest authenticity. And it's sometimes been tears, it's sometimes been cross, it's sometimes been, but we all kind of have sat here and been with each other through all of that. And it's so nice for people to see that it's not like you had that experience on the retreat and then it was all roses and perfect. You've had your ups and downs, you've had your challenges, but
You learn it.
you keep learning from it. And I think that's the beautiful thing. Like, this isn't going to take away life's ups and downs and our kind of griefs and all of those things, but you share beautifully.
I think the thing that strikes me the most is, from my own personal life, and then I can kind of see it in other people as well. When I didn't learn my lessons, the lessons life brought me, I just repeated I was like Groundhog Day. And it's when you start to learn your lessons, and you only really start to learn your lessons when you start to get eyes for what life is. And it's like you start to become more wise, you start to become more of an observer of life, and you start to notice things about life. Well, I know this is temporary, all right. People treat addiction as though it's an illness. It's not an illness. A craving is a feeling, like anger or like joy. It's another feeling. It's nothing more. It's a feeling when that individual's consciousness has fallen onto substances or behavior that they're addicted to, or what they call addicted to, just habit of thought. It's not an illness. And when people start to learn their lessons, their lives become easier. It's like when we start to notice the way we think and the way that we behave, and we start to see it differently, like yourself today, Paul. You know, you fuck that, I'm going to go and get some coke, like, and you're like, no, I've learned I'm learning my lesson with that one. Last time I did that, it all ended terribly. I don't want that. I also know this feeling's temporary. I can just bide my time, it will disappear. I'll see this differently in a little while. I don't know how long, but in a little while I'll see this differently. And then you start to see this reality ultimately is a momentary, temporary reality, experiential happening. It's like we live in the moment, and each moment is entirely unique. And it's like you start to get eyes for that. And once you start to get eyes for that, you start to learn your lessons. You start to see your ego. You start to see how you have lived your life. I've lived my life believing this is the way to be. I've lived my life believing that's the way to be. Or I've needed this, or I've needed that, or I've needed him, or I've needed her. And it starts to become evident. And I feel like from that place, you start to make wiser choices. And Lise, you hit the nail on the head. Just sounds like pure wisdom to me, Paul. It sounds like pure wisdom to me as well, Paul, what you were talking about. You know, this isn't about not thinking certain thoughts. You can't not think certain thoughts. You know, you don't control every thought that comes into your head. What you do control is what you do with that thought. You know, you do have the free will within consciousness. We tend to think of free will as being, oh, if I have free will, I won't think this, I won't think that. Free will is such a, we don't understand it enough. It's too, what's the word? Multidimensional. It doesn't exist in the way that we want it to exist. It's far different. It's far greater. Do I have free will? Do I not have free will? Or whose will is it that's living your life? It can only be yours. It can only be mine that lives my life. It can't be anybody else's. And then somebody would go, oh, no. There's only God's will. Oh, now you've separated yourself from God. No, there is no separation between you and God. You are God. Everything is God's will, but you are God. You are that creative source. You are the creator of your life. And it's like when we start to wake up to that, you start to use your free will more wisely, more often. Because you wake up and you realize, yeah, I actually have choice. Yeah, I feel like sticking some stuff up my schnoz right now. But I don't think it's a good idea. I'm not going to do it. So you start to find you have more choices. And I think that's when life starts to become more exciting. When people realize they do actually, everybody has choices. They just don't always execute it. They don't always exercise it. And I think that you kind of, you realize you have choice. And then at some other level, you start to realize, oh, I don't even need to have choice. I'm just going to live. I'm just going to live. And it's like, you just live with faith. Faith and knowing. Faith and knowing, faith and knowing, faith and knowing. Lisa, like I said before, is one person who just, like nobody else I know, lives with faith and knowing. Total faith in life. No fear. Doesn't mean she doesn't experience ups and downs, but no fear within the ups and downs.
No fear of fear.
No fear of fear. So no, mate, everything you've said tonight has been stunning. And I'm really proud of you, and I'm proud that you're proud of yourself. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Ego's awesome. It's not a problem. It's awesome when you understand it. It's when we don't understand it, it rules our lives.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll always have ego, because we'll always have a sense of self. Lula.
I was going to say to Paul about the way that the escape is to go for the coke. I remember a day when I was having a load of thinking coming through about somebody that I loved deeply, and I was thinking, I remember this thought coming in of, oh my God, what if you meet somebody else and they have a baby, and oh my God, what if this, and this was playing out in my head. And I went to go and put the kettle on, and I stopped on the kettle, and this like awareness came over me, and I took my hand off the kettle and I went and I sat on the sofa, and I just sat there. It was like being stood on a riverbank and this coming through. I thought, I know, I've been running away from this for so long, I want to sit and listen to it. So I sat there, and it turned out to be beautiful in the end once I'd just let it flow through. And once it flowed through, it just gone. But all I was doing was watching it, watching the performance of it. And it wasn't anything other than that. And I can remember thinking, shit, how much of life do we spend trying to distract ourselves from the experience of life because we don't understand what life actually is. Not that we'll ever fully understand it, but what's happening to you is you are connecting deeply to your soul. And your soul is waking up and pushing through all the noise and the chatter, and it's leading you bang in the right direction, dude. Do not underestimate yourself. Do not underestimate yourself.
Thank you. You know, I always thought my ego was so, well, I never understood the term ego. Claire had tried like telling us about ego for at least the last couple of years. And I always thought, well, I haven't got an ego. I'm not full of myself. I haven't got an ego. I'm just me. And when I learned to accept that, yeah, my ego is just the rules that I'm putting on myself, it was like, God, that's a pretty formidable character. But maybe he's now, because of all this learning, it's matched, or it's at least there's someone fighting against it now, which is pretty amazing, because I never thought that would happen.
Even though it's good, all of its source is the same place.
Yeah.
All of it. Yeah. It's all thought in motion, every single ounce of it. every single bit, but the awareness of the experience is where the magic is. Which is what's lighting up, is the awareness of the experience, which is still it.
Thanks, Lisa.
Kel, did you have your hand up, love?
Yeah, I did. I wanted to say something, but I feel like I've been Mrs. Chatty tonight, so I sort of feel a little bit self-conscious now. But I just want to say something about how Paul and Lisa reflect on here, is that there's both of them are so aware of the massive plethora of feelings that they have, that it holds space kind of, I don't know how I want to say this, but it's such a big bandwidth that it kind of, the rest of us can all be in it too. Oh, I don't know how to explain it. Does my sister know what I'm trying to say? Sorry.
Apologise. Or what are you apologising for first?
What do you Kel?
Yeah.
What to just say that again?
I just think that when Lisa and Paul and people, you know, when everyone shares and Colin, we all share this space and we talk to each other, because there's so much difference between us all, and we're all experiencing this whole massive range of emotions. But when people are out there like Paul, who puts his idea, who puts his thoughts across so in a way that we can all connect with, the fact that Paul does that allows us to be safe in doing that too. Yeah. That's a really special kind of thing that you offer, Paul, when you share. It just, you hold space for the rest of us. And it just, you know, like tonight, I feel like I've had a free principles smack in the face. It's like, I'm just blown away by like everything and everyone. It's like,
we're just all you can just plug into it.
Yeah, like my heart feels like
thinking any of it. It's just
so much energy for everyone. It's just amazing. And it's just, yeah, just like it when people are sharing in the, you know, they're sharing the extremes of their emotions. Like Lisa's really, you know, really good at sort of facing fear and showing that. And that bravery in that just allows all of the shit that we all have to put up with, just allows it to just kind of, it is just the shit that we have to put up with. But there's this other thing that's going along, this observer, this energy. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I just feel
said it. You don't need me. That's it.
All right, that's what
right.
I want to say. Yeah, I just thought she could help me a bit. Sorry, that's a bit unorthodox.
I don't need to. You're good.
Yeah, I just love the fact that some people are just naturally, because through their sharing, just hold space for other people to just be able to say what the fuck they want to say and be as crazy and as loving. And, you know, you feel so much love from Paul, and that so much, you can hear the fear, and then you can hear him sort of overlooking, being the observer of the love and the fear, you know, from one extreme to another. And it's just such an amazing sort of display of just so generous, really generous. Just make my heart swell.
Likewise from you as well, Kel.
It just makes my heart swell. I could cry.
You can include yourself in that statement, love.
Thanks. Thanks to all of it. It was really nice of Colin to say that about Paul as well. I just love you. I think you're great. Dave, I'm not saying any more.
Love it, Kel. Good laugh.
Thank you. It kind of
beautiful love.
Feeds into it. It's kind of at the end, but I was going to ask people if they wanted to join us. We have some friends who earlier on today we did 8 minutes where we put our intention on helping a loved one, who's got health problems. And I thought it'd be nice at the end of group today, we could do 8 minutes all together. We just either close your eyes or turn your screen off, whatever you want to do, just to send out some love into the world. I think there's a lot of sort of scared people, there's a lot of going on in the world, but it was so nice earlier when we finished the 8 minutes, we all kind of came away a little bit quieter and a little bit more filled up. And it felt really nice to focus love out, because I think so it's so easy to get caught up on ourselves.
Just to generate some love for this world. And if you do want to drop off, just click off. It's not a problem.
I'll probably stop the recordings. It's probably not that interesting to watch.
Yeah, we'll stop the recording. But I'll just put 8 minutes on this timer, and yeah, we just wanted to put some love out into this world and just send some prayers out for people who are struggling, who are scared, those who are ill. Just let's use this power of love that we all have, and
it's because of a friend told us about a book, a Lynn McTaggart book called The Power of 8, and then we heard it in another book. So it's 8 minutes seemed what she kind of recommended. So if you're gonna do 8 minutes, and actually it went by really fast earlier. I'm going to stop the recording. So I was going to say,
yeah, good evening. Happening again next week, next Thursday, and we have a retreat coming up from the 10th to the 12th of April. So see you there.
Sound like you're trying to remember a script.
Thanks, everybody. Stop.